Every horse has a story. Some begin with a championship pedigree, others when we discover unexpected talent that the papers didn't tell us about. Some are told in the arena, others in the quiet moments of companionship. Some we rescue, and others, well, they rescue us. Sometimes I think we forget how extraordinary it is when we get to be part of a great horse's story. There's a lot of honest pride in a partnership like this, as well as a certain weight of responsibility that comes with it. So if you give me a moment, I want to tell you about a special horse named Smooch and what shaped him into the extraordinary partner he is today. An older gentleman once told me, if you're riding a buckskin, it says, I'm a cowboy's horse. If you're on a palomino, though, it says, I'm riding daddy's money. But all I got to say to that is, you can call me daddy then. There's no bad color to a good horse. So I got Smooch as a weanling, and at that age, it's really hard to tell a lot about a horse except by their pedigree. But one thing that I noticed about Smooch from early on was the way that he moved. And he always had this really long, clean, free stride, and I couldn't wait to see what he was as he matured and when I went to start him. And you can see growing into that, it's only gotten more dramatic and more beautiful. He's such a gorgeous and relaxed mover, and he's gonna get noticed in a pen of 50 horses, 100 horses, because not only does he have that gorgeous dappled palomino color, he's got all the chrome, he's got 4 white socks, but also his movement is just so standout and so dramatic, and I absolutely love that about him. You cannot miss this horse when he goes to show. I've had him ever since he was a weanling and raised him up, and that is one of the really special things about our program, I believe, is that we've had these horses long-term, pretty much all their lives, and we've gotten to see them progress, and we know everything about them from start to finish. So they've been in one program, they've had a solid start, they've been fed right all the way along, and that's a huge plus. You know, some of these other places you might buy a horse, you don't know how long the people have had them, you don't know if they've been flipped quickly, you don't know the whole history on the horse, and so with us, we strive to do quality over quantity. I know I'm bragging a lot on this horse, but I just can't say enough good things about Smooch. He has so much heart and try, and no matter what I've asked of him, he's always steps up to the challenge and gives me 110%. So there's a lot of horses that may have some talent, but maybe they don't have the heart. They kind of punch the clock, they do their 9 to 5, and then they're done. And then there's horses that have a lot of heart, but maybe don't have the talent to keep up. And Smooch is the whole package. He has all of it. He gives me so much, and it just has a talent to match everything that I've asked of him. So if you noticed in this video, I tried to shoot my ranch riding maneuvers and my ranch trail in one sequence, and I threw all the maneuvers into one clip. Now the standard way to shoot a sale video is that you film the maneuvers individually and then you put them together at the end. But I kind of wanted to show what happens when I ask for one thing after another, just kind of like you'll do in a show environment. And this horse is able to keep up. He's very in tune, he's very focused, he knows how to go out there, get the job done, do what I ask when I ask, and go through a sequence of maneuvers without messing up. Now obviously it wasn't all perfect, but I believe that this shows a little bit of authenticity there, and I just kind of wanted to do it with this horse because he can do that, and he's very special in that way. Same goes for his lope to walk transitions. You see here, he's able to really keep those shoulders elevated like I talked about earlier. So when I bring him back to a walk, it's super easy for him to pick himself up and go. Now, early on in ranch riding, it seems that they were looking for more abrupt maneuvers, like very obvious changes between the gaits. And now it's got to where they want more and more flow. So they want to see those obvious maneuvers happen, but it needs to be very flowy, very clean. And you can see he can come down and keep his feet moving and glide into that, use his hip without locking up or sliding. And that's one thing that we really want to see on a ranch horse. He's got great downward transitions. This horse has spent many, many hours out in the pasture, all right? So I can ride him out put my hand down, drop him down on a loose rein, and he will lope just the same as he does in the arena. I think that's a very important exercise for horses to be able to do, and it takes a lot of time for most horses to develop into that. So often if you take a horse out into the field, you'll find out just how much you're missing. The head goes up, they look off into the pastures, they're looking at all the other horses running around, and they just kind of tune you out and lose their minds a little bit, okay? So he's had all the time that he needs out here to get to where he's very focused, very stable, as good outside as he is in the arena. You can see that with all the maneuvers he's performing here, from the lope departures to the trotting, to his lead changes. Everything that he's doing out here is just so smooth and so focused as you would like to see it in the arena. We've got an obstacle course out here, and along with the other ranch riding that we do, we want to be sure that they can cross bridges and tarps and climb over whatever we ask them to. If we point them at something, we want them to go through it, over it, whatever it is. These horses need to know how to keep their feet straight, stay focused, and get over it without falling off, without weaving around, without losing confidence. So that is why we focus a lot on the obstacles in our program as well. And it's also very good for the ranch trail and the things you might encounter in there. Smooch is a very confident horse. He's comfortable around heavy machinery, around vehicles, around anything that you might throw at him or anything that I've thrown at him so far. So when we went to get this clip, I just wanted a video of Smooch riding next to the skid steer to show that he was comfortable with it and around it. My husband had another idea. He's like, hey, go to the middle of the parking lot over there. And he drove around him and put the forks up and down and made a lot of racket and a lot of noise, and Smooch just acted like it was another day. He wasn't worried about it at all, and that is just one thing I love about this horse. I've hardly been able to throw anything at him that he didn't adapt to really easily. Moving back into the arena here, this is one of my favorite maneuvers on Smooch, and he still has probably a gear or two left here. This horse has probably the biggest extended trot that I've ever had on a horse. He is a beautiful mover. That extended trot reaches way out there, and it's a true extension. A lot of times you'll see horses quick in the stride and they kind of speed up there. They'll get moving around the arena, okay? But it's not a beautiful long extension like this horse has, okay? So if you watch the way that this horse moves out, the legs actually extend so freely and so far, and this is one of the things that makes him a phenomenal ranch riding horse. Talking about stops now, Smooch has always wanted to stop hard. This is an area that he hasn't been maxed out in because I don't spend a lot of time running and stopping my horses. It's not necessary for ranch riding. I really want them to be able to pick their back up and use their hip and get underneath themselves and to have a really nice stop. But definitely, if you're thinking about doing the ranch reining or maybe even some reining on the side as well as the ranch riding, he could get it done. And it's one of those things where if you take him to another trainer, this horse wants to stop big. So these are some of the little stops that we filmed on the day that we were shooting everything, and obviously he stops really nicely. He's got the style to do it, and I really like the way that he uses his hip into the ground. Smooch has so much heart, so much try. I honestly, sometimes it brings me to tears a little bit, the amount of effort that he puts into the work that he does and the try that he'll give me. And I just can't say enough good things about this horse. I know it's not obvious that I love him, but I do. Whenever we got him in though, I gotta tell you this, because he wasn't always this way. I had big hopes and dreams for him, but when I brought him in for training when he was a youngster, then he was not the horse that I hoped he would be. He was pretty standoffish in the pasture at the time and didn't want to be caught, even though we'd feed him every day, pet him every day. He was that one colt that would stand off on the back and didn't really want anyone to come near him. He'd been halter broke, he knew how to do all the things, still didn't want to be handled, still didn't want to be caught. So I brought him up and I was riding him for weeks, several weeks at this point, and he was just being quirky and silly and just couldn't keep himself together. And this was not a playful thing, like he was genuinely scared of everything in his environment. He would do the most unpredictable things. And I finally got to the point and I was like, you know what, this this horse probably won't make it as a show horse. I don't know what I'm going to do with him. But before I kicked him out or cut him loose or decided to go a different route with him, I decided to try one more thing. And we spent the next 4 to 6 weeks just doing confidence building exercises, okay? And so we start all our horses off this way, but I guess he just didn't get enough of what he needed in this area. So we took him out and rode him all around the ranch. We rode him over the obstacle course every day. My assistant would drag logs and tarps and flags with him, just do all the stuff that can really build confidence in a horse when done right. And she did a fantastic job with all those little things that the horse needed to do. And he really started to develop a bond with people more. He started to become more personable and really grow in his trust around humans, which was just part of the element that he didn't have before. And so I took him back after a while, and he was a completely different horse. Ever since then, he's been on the straight and narrow. He's been really, really cool, phenomenal to work with. We have a fantastic bond. He loves people. He loves to do his job right. And I have never seen such an amazing change in a horse. You know, everyone always talks about how the good ones are quirky horses, and or the really extraordinary ones. And so I keep that in mind. Obviously, I've had that same experience myself, and you kind of have to be like, okay, I'm gonna kind of excuse some of this if you're going to be amazing in this area. But with this horse, it was just too much. I was like, he's not usable at this point, and I did not know if he would come around. So to see him come back into the barn and be that phenomenal, that big of a change just from some confidence, time in the saddle, that was really neat. And he has just had the biggest heart to do his work ever since then. And I know I'm kind of repeating myself in that way, but I just think that's such a fun thing when you ride a horse with so much feel and desire to be good and do the job right. You can see as we approach the gate here just how fluid his footwork is. This is not a show environment. The ground's not perfect, the gate's not perfect, the sand is deep on one side, and yet he still does his job flawlessly. He's really light off the leg, he's really willing, he's in my hand the whole time. When we get into the around pin, what I want you to notice is how he interacts with this horse. So I go to flag this horse, and this horse wants to play, he wants to rear, he wants to kick out, he wants to do a bunch of stupid stuff, and Smooch's energy level remains the same the whole time. He stays right there with me instead of feeding off the energy of the other horses. And that is so important for me and these horses that I train. I want them to mature into horses who wait on me instead of reading the room and doing what the other horses around them are doing. This horse back when we need to. We're able to round pin him and truly move this horse around in the way that it needs to be moved in order to get the job done. And whether I'm at a walk, a trot, or a lope, I can use one hand to guide my horse and flag the horse with the other hand, or whatever needs to happen to guide this horse around, and I don't have to worry about what the horse underneath me is going to do. After I get this horse round pinned and he's settled down, I'm going to go ahead and grab his halter here and halter the horse. And once again, you can see the way Smooch moves around him is there's a lot of cadence there, there's a lot of control in his body. He's letting me do my job even when my hands are not on the reins. And that is a really neat thing to see. These large logs on our obstacle course are so good for teaching horses how to stay between your hands and legs and pick up their feet correctly as they walk or trot along. So I really like to make sure that my horses have foot cadence and that they're focused and they're watching where they're going while they're doing this. So he's got a good side pass as well, and he's very straight. That's one thing that I really focus on with my horses, is making sure that they travel straight, so the hip's not left behind and the shoulder's traveling faster than the hip. Now maybe this wasn't the best and most perfect example of that because I didn't set him up or prep him just right, but you could see there's a lot of straightness with this horse. He's not looking to the outside, he's not bent the wrong way, and that is gonna be very point earning when you get into the show arena. Like we talked about with the poles, going up these tires also really helps a horse's mental focus and helps them learn where to place their feet without me babysitting them the whole time. Exercises like these are extremely important in getting your horses to think independently and navigate through obstacles, especially if you're doing ranch trail. Again, I think this builds so much into the way my horses show and the way that they navigate well through a pattern. Smooch has very effortless lead changes. Anybody could come across here and change leads on Smooch. He wants to do it, he wants to be good, he wants to be on time. And when you ask him, he's gonna do it without popping his head up, without changing gait, without speeding up or slowing down. This horse has the lead change you're looking for. Moving on to our next segment of the video. This is one that I was really excited about, and it was a whole lot of fun for me because it's been a long time since I've spent a lot of time writing English, as you guys will probably be able to tell from this video. However, Smooch is really great at it, so he was a good sport for me, and I know there's going to be a few people out there who really value it, so I wanted to include it because he's such a versatile horse, and I enjoy doing these different things with him so much. Anything that I've asked him to do, he's just right up on the job, ready for it. Nothing surprises this horse. I've thrown so many different things at him and he's just ready to go. So whenever you want to get on, you can just snap your fingers at the mounting block. He's going to bring his hip over, side pass right up for you, and you can step on and ride away. As you can see here, he's fine being on the bit. If you want to make a little bit more, ride him with a little bit more contact, he's comfortable with that. This horse is a very soft, supple horse. He doesn't really want to push on the bit, so he is very comfortable riding like this. His trot is really nice. You can see here, beautiful headset. Still carrying the top line really nicely. Here I'm going to show off a little bit of hip control. You can see if I place my leg back there just a little bit, this horse is more than willing to move his hip over with fluid motion. Again, he's very comfortable moving off the leg. He answers, he wants to do the right thing. He's not dull-sided. Both ways, a lot of fluid movement there, okay? And then I place my leg back to normal, ask him to turn just like I would if he was in a Western saddle, and we've got great shoulder control there, and he can turn around both ways. This is excellent for when we're jumping and I want to control him through the course, and if you want to make really tight turns, this horse can really rock back and steer super, super nicely through a course. I want to mention that when we filmed the sequence, this horse had been jumped a total of 4 times. The confidence with which he approaches jumps and how relaxed he is moving over them, I really, really love those things about this horse. His distance is pretty good. His knees are really nice. His top line's good. Everything about the way this horse does these for a green horse is super, super nice. So I had to include that in there because I know there's some people out there who are going to want to dabble with this, and Smooch is very comfortable doing that. let's talk about ranch trail. Once again, like I talked about in the beginning with the ranch maneuvers, I want to put everything together so you guys can see the whole sequence at once and this horse actually doing a pattern and doing all the maneuvers. If I broke these down and filmed each individually, each maneuver might be better, but I want to kind of show you what's going to happen when you throw them all together on this horse and what he can do. I think that's really neat that he was able to come out here and do this pattern and do everything that I asked him to do in a relatively really nice way. And you can see the flow that he has once again with the transitions. You see that lope to walk transition right before the poles, and that's one that can trip a lot of horses up, okay? So when they go from the lope to the walk, then often they're moving a little bit fast, and when they get up on those poles, they have difficulty maneuvering over them and not taking the poles. Smooch has always been really good over poles. He has saved my bacon so many times when maybe I misread distance on a lope over or something. This horse is so clean, he's so good, okay? So obviously I like to set my horses up the best way possible, but there are a lot of horses that struggle over poles immensely, and if you don't set them up just right, they're not going to make it, or they lack confidence. Even if they are set up right, maybe they'll come to the poles and they'll still tick them, or they're lazy over them. Smooch is not that horse. I love the fact that he's very clean with his feet. He picks them up every single time, and if it's not just perfect, he actually focuses, he watches where his feet go, and he gets the job done right. We're gonna go ahead and turn around here and lope off. You can see as we get to these poles, he lopes over them cleanly. We get to the drag, beautiful little stop there, and then his setup for the drag is excellent as well. This horse never looks twice at a drag. He always walks up to them confidently. He knows how to get the job done and make it look classy. This bridge here has a tendency to intimidate a lot of visitors, but as you can see, Smooch is completely confident walking over and navigating up and down both sides of it. Going back to what we talked about before about being able to lope a horse in the field or move them out in the field and have them remain focused, notice how soft his departures are when he lopes off here. He's not rushing. He's not rushing into that lope, and he's not rushing through it. So he's staying right there with me. There's a nice drape in the reins. He stays right underneath my hand, and there's minimal adjustments that have to be made. Even when I'm steering or guiding him, he's very in control, and it is so much fun to ride a horse that is with you like this. All right, so one last fun thing that probably not a lot of people are going to utilize, but I had to throw it in here because Smooch is just too good at too many things. Now, I'm not a garrocha expert. I'm probably carrying the pole wrong half the time. However, what I really wanted to show off is what I talked about before, this horse's ability to gather himself, rock back on his haunches, lift his shoulders up, and really maneuver wherever I ask him to. So this is a very tight, small circle. And you can see this horse is not falling in, he's not ducking, diving, weaving anywhere. When I put him on a circle, he stays on that circle. The way this horse carries himself is just so beautiful, and I want to exemplify that by showing off some of this. Now, we've done some Western dressage maneuvers. He does have a half pass, and you can see some of the stuff he does here. We started to work a little bit on his pirouette and stuff. If that's something you want to do, Smooch would be very well fit for that discipline. Now, I haven't focused on that because he is just so good at the ranch riding, but this is one of the most special horses that I've ever ridden. So as a child, I spent hours upon hours riding my horses bareback. That's pretty much all I did. I rarely rode in a saddle after I quit taking jumping lessons. Because for one, I didn't think a saddle was that comfortable. For another, I didn't want to saddle my horses up. I was a little bit lazy. So, like I said, a lot of time bareback. And I think that other horse should be able to handle it. And I think it's a really fun thing. I think it's a good exercise for riders. And how are you gonna go do that? How are you gonna ride off into the sunset if you can't put your horse in a halter and bareback and jump on him in the pasture and ride away? So I think that's one of the things that I like to show and include in my training. And it's just so enjoyable for me to kind of get back to my roots a little bit and spend some quality time with my horses outside of training. One of the things that I think is so fundamental for these horses is to be able to go to different environments and different places and be able to ride the same as they do in the arena. Okay, so my horses spent a lot of time out in the field, loping around, trotting, making sure that they can do the same maneuvers out there as they do in here. So this horse is very, very solid outdoors. He's had a lot of hours on him out in the field to make sure that no matter where you point him, no matter what you do, you can drop him down on a loose rein. This horse is going to trot off nicely. He's going to lope. He can do his lead changes out there, and he'll stay in your hand and stay solid. know I bragged on Smooch a lot, but I cannot say enough good things about this horse. I don't know if I've ever ridden such a versatile horse, a horse that could go so many different directions and excel in them, a horse that was so willing, so kind-hearted, so easy to get along with. And this horse is just jam-packed with talent in every area. And there's some horses that are talented, but they don't have the heart. And there's other horses who have a huge heart, but don't have the talent to keep up. And this horse genuinely has it all. You know, people ask me, why is this horse for sale? And obviously this is my business, this is how I stay alive. But the truth of it is, if I didn't have to do this for a living, this horse would stay in my life forever. I love him, he's gonna be in my barn in heaven, and I just hope that he finds the right home. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed watching a good horse go, and I hope that I've been able to effectively convey just how cool he is, because someone's gonna get really lucky with a great horse. You'll hear it discussed in the circles of men and women who fit this discourse. They talk of the ones they ridden or known, surmising that was a great horse. Yes, he was stout of back and sure of foot. When he'd suck back on a rope, he was willing to plow through the thickest of brush or slide down a neck-breaking slope. That was one great horse. He was the king of the track. He was hard to hold back. His name was forever renowned. His bloodline lives on, though he's now past and gone. He was the first to ever win the Triple Crown. That was one great horse. He was my first pony. Dad traded for him against money he was owed for some work. And how he'd glisten like gold in the sun. He carried us kids from daylight till dark. The whole neighborhood had lots of fun. That was one great horse. On and on the stories go, wherever there's horses and men. One great tale just leads to the next. We can't wait for our turn to chime in. No matter the story or how it begins, they all seem to follow the course. After they've ended with a faraway look, they all come back with that common old adage, that was one great horse.